Welcome back to SeaBATTLE. I am Nato, joined here by Riley Rooster. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing good, and we're wearing hats, and they're almost entirely in the frame, which I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to.
Yeah.
So this is fantastic. 1-year anniversary, the birthday, the cake. I hear that there's cake for those in person.
I think I saw the cake. I'm excited.
Oh, nice. So, we are here at UW. Actually, first time that we've been at UW, which is really, really cool. We were in GameWorks for the first 4 iterations, and now we're down in the game room of UW. It's really nice, really themed. We got the hats on, and we have an amazing set coming up for y'all. The SPUNCHBOP movie. Very important. SPUNCHBOP versus Mouse Swarm, who we just saw play.
All right. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how these teams play. I've actually have personal experience. I've known Sakura for a while. Her brush is really good.
Yeah, I had the misfortune of having to play against her brush at the last one and got completely bamboozled by being run around and ran through and run past like 14 times. But we just saw Mouse Swarm play on the last stream set. We saw a combination of the brush, like you said, Riley, and then we also saw some tent coming out from Otter, and then some sploosh play as well, which I wasn't entirely expecting to see, but they definitely got the whole, fast frontline weapons really figured out, I'd say.
Yeah, so it's going to be up to SpongeBob to now find a way to stop their assault, pretty much. When you're faced with just really hardcore frontline, all you can do is just try to stay on top of it and keep up.
Yeah, for sure. And what's interesting about Mouse Swarm is I think it's really in their name, right? Like, they're going to send maybe 2 or 3 frontliners out to just swarm the opponent.
Oh, yeah.
But then they're also running, like, some version of umbrella, whether that be the tent. I think we also saw Otter on some of the other umbrellas earlier today. It's like that's the more, like, constant back midline as well to provide that sort of shield backup. So if the brush or the wiper or the sploosh needs to back up, they can sort of back up into that tent or the umbrella and sort of get that support there. So
what's really interesting is when it comes down to comboing that weapon with the frontline rolls is where you get to be able to shark forward with an easy way in with the umbrella shield. So I'm very excited to see how SpongeBob is able to handle this.
Yeah, for sure. So Clam Blitz, Barnacle. I think there is no Clam Blitz map that is quite as annoying as Barnacle, in my opinion, but also maybe one that's not quite as so interesting to watch because you can really have some good lockouts here.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that while lockouts can be pretty rough or great, depending on which side you're on.
For sure.
I really enjoy the fights that this map provides. I think it provides some very interesting game mechanics, just going with the flanks and being able to, just duke it out.
Yeah, and already, so I'm really interested. We don't see Big Swig very frequently, and already I think it's paying off for the SpongeBob movie as they get an immediate 3 down, and it's just their backliner alive here.
Oh yeah, 100%. Everybody's going at it. They're able to make sure to keep Mouse Swarm staggered right now as they are able to break the basket in the first time. Already getting a ton of clams in addition to that initial power to open it. And it looks like the push is ending now just past 60, meaning it's going to take Mouse Swarm 2 power clams just to be able to break lead.
Yeah, definitely, Riley. I thought that could have been worse, right? Like, we were talking about the snowball right as we got into this, but Mouse Swarm really did a good job of just taking enough players out from SpongeBob to sort of hold on, because 59, that's a good push. Like, it's definitely more than just one ball, and with player coming in here, going for the backliner, getting at least one. Are they going to get this third one going up to the right-hand side? Yes! And
that's
good
the wipeout.
Excellent.
Oh my gosh, Mouse Swarm was really able. I feel like that first initial fight was them getting a feel for how SpongeBob plays.
For sure.
And now that they were able to really easily regroup, they're able to make those jumps in, able to get that wipeout. And oh no, they're getting wiped out yet again. And as Kraken takes the mid back for the SpongeBob movie.
Riley, I thought that was going to be way worse. They had 3 power clams online there, and they were close to be able to get the second one in. And I just think the jump was just a little bit too far back to get the third one in. So big credit to the SpongeBob movie here, because they were able to kind of hold enough area to keep Mouse Swarm out. And already they're trying to retake position here. They have 2 down. Let's see if this becomes a replication of what we saw earlier. I don't know if Sakura's just going to play defense over here, doing a little distraction interaction, and actually successfully so. We do not have a push yet come out from the side of SpongeBob.
Yes, with the initial kill now, we're seeing a trade or two, and it looks like Mouse Swarm is now able to hop in as and be able to get these scores down just a bit quicker.
Yeah, you know, a push to 38 is pretty good, and I think it's going to be a lot more. You see that backliner there. Bolt's going in with the pity, is able to get it. They only need one more clam to KO here. Inkex is just going to try to hold on here, take down the brush. Maybe they're not able to. You know, Mouse Swarm holds on, but just barely.
Yes, I'm very excited now to see as Mouse Swarm is able to just stop that push right in the nick of time, be able to make their push back to mid and regroup. And while they've got a long ways to go, if they can stay coordinated, coordinate their specials, coordinate their ins, they're going to be good. Because I know it seems like this team, with all of their frontline aggression, everybody wants to be the one moving forward. So they need to find a way to be able to pace themselves, take turns, in order to keep that push going like long enough for them to get the points down to where they need.
Yeah, absolutely. So we saw a lot of good patience coming out from the side of Mouse One there. It was a 3v3, and then they took 2 of them down and was able to continue a safe push. So they didn't score a whole lot there, but I think maybe more importantly, they kept enough of their members alive. They didn't go 2 or 3 down. It's actually still a 4v4 situation on the field, which gives Mouse Swarm the chance to make another ball and hopefully come up with another push.
Oh, 100%, but not if Kraken has anything to say about it. They were able to use the entirety of that vertical flick range to their advantage there. Even where Mouse Swarm thought they were safe, they were not.
Definitely not, and with 2 down on the side of Mouse Swarm. Whoa, good kill coming out from the side of Player. Maybe going for a second, and that is the hammer throw buff that we were just talking about, although Bolts is able to take them down on the side. You know, Brush coming down again. Already, you know, the front 2 frontliners who we saw playing so aggressively are just kind of getting punished by this kind of sort of slower and more methodical play coming out from the side of SpongeBob. They only have a couple of seconds left here, Riley.
Oh yeah, and I think that now coming down to the last couple seconds, SpongeBob is looking to find their in, be able to end that game very quickly with a quick basket open. And however, they are going to make full use of that hammer. And we are going to hopefully see continued push, continue to open things in the basket, and there we go.
Yeah.
That's game.
You know, SpongeBob knew that if they could just get that final ball in, they didn't have to score anymore. It would just end the game. They were already in overtime. And I'm really interested by the comp that SpongeBob decided to come out with, because I think most of the time you don't see Big Swig played competitively. Most of the time, players who play roller go with a roller that has like a higher kill power, something like Carbon or maybe even V-Roller. But I think Kraken on that Big Swig roller was something I didn't expect, and I don't know if Mouse Swarm expected it either.
I think I know what the reasoning behind it is, actually. As someone who's been spending a lot of time with people who played Tent with that HP special, the object damage on the Big Swig, as well as the pain output, is pretty crazy right now.
Yeah, definitely.
In this state of the game. And their team, I was trying to take a note and figure out where was Mouse Swarm finding problems. I think it's paint.
Yeah, I think so too. I think in the previous matchup we saw when they played Costco Shrimp Cocktail previously, they were sort of able to take on Costco Shrimp by constantly running them down, right? Like maybe they didn't have the most paint in their comp, but they were at least constantly able to get picks up front. And if you're getting picks, then your opponents aren't painting as much, and therefore you're in paint advantage. What we saw here going up against SpongeBob, they were able to output so much paint with the combination of the Big Swig, the Mini, and the bow that it's like they just backed up enough, you know, didn't die, and kept enough paint on the ground to allow their frontliners up and to take those picks off of Mouse Swarm. And I bet you, in terms of just like a overall pick gain, we can't see what the KDs were for everyone, but I do think it probably was in the favor of SpongeBob, and Mouse Swarm is going to have to adapt to that.
Oh yeah, with Mouse Swarm's weapons, again, their whole design is to be very quick, very speedy, very aggressive. And so like you said, the way they were able to play and win the last set was due to them just rushing people down and being able to maneuver really fast.
Yeah.
However, with the paint advantage that SpongeBob had, they're able to maneuver more, be able to take those fights and those engagements and not struggle as hard.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, that was only the first match. These teams now understand each other a little bit more, and we're going to a completely different map mode, maybe one of the best in the game. Rainmaker!
Oh, I'm not going to contest that. I am a big fan of Rainmaker.
Ooh. Looks like SpongeBob is kind of doubling down on this paint-heavy comp that we saw earlier, right? Like, they still have the bow, they still had the big swig, and they still had the mini, which,
and
by
they
the
still
way,
have the pop.
They still had the pop, too, and maybe that's the object shredder damage we were talking about. Already, Mouse Swarm trying to move up here. Oh, unfortunately, getting sort of punished by about 3 members of SpongeBob movie just moving forward there. It looks like the third one jumps out, and the last one sort of has to just sit back here. This is SpongeBob's time to push forward and try to take this elbow.
Oh, yes. And here we see a hammer fight. Oh, that's my favorite whenever that happens. It looks like they are able to break through first check, and we are seeing just a quick rundown trying to be able to stop that push. It looks like SpongeBob is able to have a really well-coordinated front. If they work together, they can take a hold of this game. But now it looks like Mouse Swarm is able to rally together on their own and be able to get that wipeout.
Yeah, totally so. You know, they got him 3 down. I think this is Mouse Swarm's opportunity to build up a big lead, right? Because they have the hammer out. They're just going to push forward. They're going to get probably to the teens here. They absolutely do. They have 3 down here, Riley. And they did get the wipeout. Are they going to paint this? Are we going to see a knockout right here? Yes, we are.
That was a fast game. A lot faster than I thought.
Wow. So I am honestly sort of stunned by what we saw go down there. Right at the beginning, it looked like all advantage was SpongeBob, right? Like, they got the early pop, to your point, probably due to that object shredder damage. But they also got the first checkpoint extremely early. Actually, in the middle of that hammer battle we saw on the elbow, like, the hammer somehow, I don't know, Splatoon physics or something, didn't get the Rainmaker. So they did get the first checkpoint, but Mouse Swarm was just so fast, able to take their opponents down 1, 2, 3, and then more so keep them down, right? Because they lost the Rainmaker, but then they essentially had a wipe, which they converted into a real wipe, which they converted into a knockout. Like, amazing stuff.
Amazing. And I loved seeing hammers on both sides there. I am a hammer believer with the buff. I'm just so excited to get my hands on it again. And to the hammer missing the Rainmaker point, I'm pretty sure the hitbox is only on the thrown weapon. That's just a huge nuclear bomb to
just
throw
watching
out.
this replay here down at the bottom, you see how the hammer was just able to set up like a perfect envoy, like just guided them through down into the teens. And honestly, on something like Rainmaker Humpback, getting to the teens within the first minute or two is really impressive. But they were able to keep that momentum going from there, right? Like, it wasn't just, oh, we're going to push to the teens and then let's back up, we've done our job. I think what Mouse Swarm was thinking, hey, let's just continue to move off the advantage that we currently have, because we know that our opponents play, you know, slower weapons. And if we can continue to push this while they're still coming out from spawn, then maybe we can just knock out right here or get to something like 1 or 2, something within the 10s, right? Yeah,
100%. I'm very excited to see what they're going to be doing on this next map, Tower Control Hagglefish Market.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, this is probably the most balanced of all the map modes that we've seen, given these two teams' different play styles, right? I think, actually, in retrospect, Clan Bliss, Barnacle, and Dime probably plays a little bit more into SpongeBob's strengths, right? Because they can defend that, but they can also keep the snowball moving. Where something like Humpback being able to move extremely quickly, like we saw come out from the side of Mouse Swarm, is also very advantageous, right? In my opinion, something like Hagglefish Tower is sort of in between the two, right? Like, it is advantageous to be able to rush up their ramp as fast as possible, but it's also advantageous sort of to sit back and be like, no, we're going to defend our first checkpoint by lobbing bow shots at you, right?
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm curious to see how this is going to play out.
Me too, and as we are getting right into that game, we're going to see if there's any comp switch-ups. or any new strategy changes as they try to tackle this more balanced map.
Definitely so. We saw the sploosh come out from the side of Mouse Swarm last time. That was one of the changes, and that is, oh, okay, he's talking about changes. I think we've got multiple changes coming out from both sides, but I'd say more surprisingly from the side of the SpongeBob movie. They have switched from Big Swig to Dynamo Roller, and I think that is the first blaster we've seen come out from either side of this match so far.
Oh yeah, like that Luna Blaster. I'm a fan. With the buffs, I think it's able to get a lot of kills now recently.
Yeah, and you are right to be a fan, Riley, because immediately Magma there is able to get the initial pick on the shot, and you know, with the cooler coming out, don't forget that we do have cooler on both sides now, so both teams will be able to respawn quickly, but Mouse Swarm is responding very quickly to SpongeBob pushing through mid, already taking 2 down. Sakura here on the flank. It looks like they're gonna try and chase down the backliner here on the side of SpongeBob.
Sakura's going to be doing a good job using those flanks. If SpongeBob isn't able to keep an eye on those, they got to be watching them constantly because most of this team wants to be taking those flanks. The way that Mouse Point tries to get their advantage is to just let Sakura get a pick and then follow up and collapse on the team. So it's very interesting now that we're back in mid. They weren't able to make much out of that push, but we're going to see what happens now.
You know, it just struck me, there is double hammer on this side of SpongeBob. Here, talk about being a hammer believer, man. We're getting it on the side of SpongeBob with 2 coming out. And it seems to be working for them. We're seeing some trades happen on the field here. Oh, hammer again, man. We can't escape them.
2 kills!
So many. Magma doing an excellent job here, just pushing forward with this Luna Blaster. They know where they need to sit. That's a powerful location there on bottom left, but they also need to be well aware of top right as well. We already see Shisa and Otter up there trying to take a defensive position, but with all the things that are happening on the field, they're not able to stop the first checkpoint in time. The strikes come out, they do take out the bow, and now that's 2 down on the side of SpongeBob. Let's see if the hammer can get any value here. Yeah, that is the hammer cancel. Happens sometimes.
Yeah, I'm familiar. And it's very cool to see how that push went. Sakura was able to draw the attention from a nice flank and be able to get a trade that then allowed the rest of the team to slowly pick off the remaining members and end that push. And now we're going to see if they're able to keep it up as they try and return the favor.
Oh, Shisa almost getting a double there down on bottom left, although it looks like their teammates are able to clean up. They need to pay close attention to the top right here. This is what we were talking about. Bolts here on the bow is in a powerful location just to lob shots on the tower, and they're doing what they need to. They need to get that player out of top right, and, you know, it's just so difficult when they're just raining down shots on you. That is not a checkpoint clear. It's not actually even close to a checkpoint clear so far. They're going to need to get this stringer player out of top right before they can get through this first checkpoint for sure.
This team, I actually really like the changes to this comp. They are leaning heavily into combination area of effect burst damage, as you can see between the charged bow shots, the dynamo flicks, and then just, you know, blaster being blaster. And so they're able to hopefully take care of a lot of sharks, take care of a lot of moving positions. However, in a 1v1 scenario, their weapons are gonna struggle, so they've got to really keep together in order to prevent these pushes.
Yeah, oh, man.
Or you can just hit them with a hammer straight in the face.
The buffed hammer throw, just it can't. It's not going away, is it? Already, we see the SpongeBob movie moving back into mid. You know, the strikes have done a lot of work so far just to stall things on the side of Mouse Swarm, but it really has just been a stall, right? Like, at some point, Mouse Swarm does have to make it further through mid than what they've done so far. They've had one push where they've made it to the first checkpoint about halfway through, but every single time they try to get there, just the AoE damage from everyone that you're talking about is enough to keep them from making it any further. And I think within this last minute, Mouse Swarm is really going to have to be, we need to get 1 or 2 clean picks on them, and then we push forward. Then we get them out of top right. But, you know, already, SpongeBob is improving upon their lead, right? We only have 30 seconds left.
Oh yeah, like we're getting close, and it's getting very tense for Mouse Swarm right now. Their big challenge is getting past the checkpoints. That's first, second checkpoint, as it's just a great position to be lobbing all their area effective damage down onto. So as long as they can avoid it, as long as they can outlast, they can get something. But it looks like that SpongeBob is now able to just continue a very brutally aggressive push and just keep them down as they're making it now right past second into third check. Didn't even need third check.
Wow. You know, the change that we saw, not just in weapons, but also in just strategy that came out from the side of the SpongeBob movie from Game 2 to Game 3 was really impressive, right? Because, like you said, the shift to the big AoE weapons, the switch to the Dynamo, which again gave them cooler on the Dynamo, but it also just gave them more power to chip from a further distance away, was really beneficial to them, right? They didn't necessarily have to win a bunch of 1v1s if they were constantly winning 2v1s, right? If they were constantly just comboing off of their teammates, which we saw happen time and time again. And then, like, as we see here in the replay, it really was just getting them up to top right. We see InkX here on that mini just able to take a super powerful position top right, take on 2 players, wow, from the side of the SpongeBob, from the side of Mouseswarm, excuse me, to really seal that second checkpoint. And now I think it's Mouseswarm who's going to have to adapt.
Oh, yes. I am curious to see how they do decide to adapt. We are now moving on to Splat Zone's Mako Mart. So for that paint light team that wants to move around in Shark, I'm very curious if they're going to lean even more into that aggression, or if they're going to maybe try and switch up their strategy and be able to hold zones a bit better.
Yeah.
Maybe get some caps.
It's a good question. I think this map is good. Maybe not the best map, but it's a good map for flanks, which we see, you know, coming out from the side of the Inkbrush time and time again, excuse me, and rightly so. But I do think, to your point, the nice thing if you're a stally AoE comp about Mako zones is you can take as much time as you want to be safe on the retakes, right? Assuming you're not imminently about to lose the match or lose the lead, you can kind of sit in your top right for a while, build the specials, everyone pushes in together, right? Like, it's really difficult on this map to keep the zone if there's 2, 3, 4 specials all being thrown simultaneously at you. So in my mind, the real question on the side of Mouseswarm is, can they prevent that from happening in the first place? Because if they can, they might just run away with the game.
That's all they want to do. We see a Stamper coming out.
Ooh.
Haven't seen that yet, and a V-shot. So we're going more for Zukas than we are for caps, it seems.
I think we
Still,
are.
we're going for really hard aggression.
Yeah, definitely hard aggression already. Sakura just flanking, able to trade with Kraken there. You know, about a neutral trade, but Mouseswarm doing what they do best, moving up aggressively. It's a 2v2 situation on the field. Hammer comes out. Oh, unfortunately, able to find the backlighter on the side of Mouseswarm there. We've gone back into a neutral situation. Now advantage side of SpongeBob movie as they set up and do what they do best.
Oh, yes, but Sakura's able to come by. That flank was called out, but they couldn't stop her. And she's now able to get that kill, get that in, distract, and break the line of SpongeBob movie enough for Shiza to help get in and cap that zone. And we are seeing now an attempt to start staggering, and that's going to be the way, I feel like, that Mouseswarm
Absolutely. You know, player getting an excellent Zuka kill there. Unfortunately, they are taken out by the line marker, and here's SpongeBob's movie's time to move back in. You know, the combination of the rain, the bow, and the big swig are just really, really, really tough to paint over, and they have, don't forget, a 3v2 situation on the field here. Otter is looking to get this kill, and they are able to, which is good for them, and they're able to get 2 down on the side of the SpongeBob movie. I think that they really need to try to set up here and take advantage of it here, Riley.
Oh, an unfortunate early zip cancel. Didn't able to find any kills, and we are going to be able to see SpongeBob take control in that nice mid-scrap fight. As Kraken goes down, Otter's now back in the game, and we are seeing another zip, hopefully to be able to get some kills. The line is broken, and let's see if a Hammer can help save this.
No, Hammer just wasn't quite enough there as 3 members go and take out the mini. Unfortunate there. But this is Mouseswarm's sort of I think, first big chance to hold, right? They have basically a 4v2 situation, and everyone else from the side of the SpongeBob movie is coming back from either top left or top right. They lost their brush, not fantastic, but they do have enough killing power. If they can get 1 or 2 picks, they might be able to hold on here. They do find one. Sakura coming back in, able to get another pick. Oh, just not quite in time to prevent the zone from being flipped. And it looks like SpongeBob retains their lead here.
All right. Yeah, very good for SpongeBob here. Very good position. We're seeing some members go down now as Sakura is tempting, Otter's attempting to find that kill and is able to get it very far on the range of that vertical flick.
Yeah, fantastic play from Otter. You know, this is an adjustment, previously playing nothing but umbrellas and such, able to switch to the Stamper and get some value here. Unfortunately, again, they are just doing such a good job of canceling those zip casters and able to get more picks as well. Mouse Swarm has the zone just wrenched away from them yet again due to the superior paint power of the SpongeBob movie. You know, it's been such a slugfest in mid. We see one team go down, we see the other team go down. We just have not seen Mouse Swarm had the chance to have a real good lockout yet.
Yeah,
right?
and I'm starting to see what I think might be the problem here is that they are having to use their specials and put so many resources into just taking mid and winning that neutral fight that they don't have anything to secure their hold and secure that stagger out of spawn onto the SpongeBob movie.
Yeah, they kind of have to rely on picks to do that. And so far, this is, I think, the furthest they've gotten so far. They were able to stagger the SpongeBob movie, and we see the frontliners of Mouse Swarm play a little bit safer here. They need to get the picks down here in order to take the lead. 1 comes down, Zipcaster, 2 comes down. We're going for the Hammer. Hammer needs to come up big here. I don't know if the Hammer's going to be able to find much value in mid as they do get taken down. Mouse Swarm only has to hold on for 10 more ticks before it's over. And unfortunately, it's just
Kraken's not able to hold, but they've got a lot of pain on mid.
Oh.
Player is going at it, being able to just hero play on the team, be able
Player
to keep
getting
control.
2. Player almost getting 3. That's 2 members down on the side of Mouse Swarm. They're painting like crazy,
Otter's
but
back.
Ingo's
They
down.
still have not capped.
The cap is not
5, 4,
finished.
3, 2.
1 point. It's just the bomb. No.
That was an amazing end to this set. Oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry, Riley. I was trying to say something coherent at the end, and no words could come out. I am just so amazed by that scrap that started on the side of Mouse Swarm, because we saw it. You had just made the comment that they were using all their specials for the retake, and they didn't have it for the lockout, right?
Yes.
But we saw multiple members on the side of the SpongeBob movie go down at the side at the hands of Mouse Swarm, and there was 2 members down, and I think Mouse Swarm just knew at that point they had to fight, right? Like, because they could have backed up. Player could have backed up from that situation there, and they decided to fight in mid, and they were able to get that double, almost able to get a triple. Bombs came out at the end, and Mouse Swarm, in a nail biter, really took that entire match back. Like,
yeah,
it looked pretty bad
100%.
for them.
You were saying, like I was saying, they didn't really have the resources to keep the hold. You were saying they need picks, and then they got those picks. And once, you know, it became a huge, tense scrap at the end, they were able to come out on top.
Absolutely.
See some waving from the team saying hi.
You know what
You're
this
on
means?
TV.
You know what this means, Riley?
What?
We are going to a Game 5.
Oh, boy. On to Clam Blitz Scorch Gorge.
Oh, man. You know, we've seen, at this point, every mode except for Turf War, which we won't play here, has been played. And the Clam Blitz game that went in the favor of the first Clam Blitz game did go in the favor of SpongeBob, and I think they did a very good job. They almost knocked out that game. They had some really good hold-on pushes. They defended extremely well, but this is also a very different map, right?
Yes.
Like, Scorched Gorge and Barnacle and Dime are kind of, they are comparable, but not really comparable, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's a much wider open mid.
For sure.
Very good sight lines for the back lines. However, I'm not sure how well or how great or how poorly it's going to be for these flanks that Mouse Swarm wants to pull.
Yeah, definitely. There is the Greats, and if you're an Inkbrush, you kind of like the Greats, right?
Yeah.
If you're another like sploosh ratty frontline weapon, you can still take the Greats, but Inkbrush is really where that shines. But we don't see Greats pushed often. Like it's very difficult to initiate a push over the Greats.
I think it's gonna be rushed down. We hear some cheering, some clapping for this game 5.
Room is excited here. Let's see if the comps change. Yeah, we got a bow. Yeah, seems like sticking with the bow on the side of the SpongeBob movie, and we are back to the sploosh on the side of Mouse Swarm. It looks like Mouse Swarm is doubling down on the idea of let's have 2 very aggressive frontliners, and Otter, it looks like that they're going to stay on that sword.
Oh yeah, like they are bringing out the cooler with the zap. It looks like very similar to the comp at the beginning in the first Clan Blitz game, but I'm noticing a very clear lack of tent. So they're opting for more being able to take the quick kills, be able to come back sooner with the cooler, and to see if that's able to help them in this map.
Yeah, multiple trades coming down here. I've heard like 3 hammers pop in the first 30 seconds of the game, and everything is in the favor of SpongeBob here. There's no way they don't make a big score here. The only question is how big. It's going to be at least 2 balls, and Mouse Swarm needs to stuff this out really fast.
Looks like they're able to, getting 2 kills very quickly, the third having to fall back or risk death, and we're still unfortunately very caught up back on the ramp. We're going to see who's able to now get a kill, able to dodge that hammer now that you know they want to throw it.
Nothing but hammers on this field, I'll tell you that. Already, you know, SpongeBob finds themselves in, I'd say, a really agreeable position. You know,
there's the Inkbrush cross, as we were talking about.
Yeah, you know, I think it's a good idea if you're an Inkbrush to try to take those flanks, but I think SpongeBob is just playing a little more aware here. They're already able to take out both that flank and also the attempt at the Zipcaster coming out from the Stamper. They are just sort of sitting back and being like, hey, we have a big push. We don't need to be getting picks immediately. Let's just put like 2 or 3 of our players back a bit, you know, hold on, try and finish out those specials, and then slowly make progress toward mid. And as Inkex pulls out the hammer here, oh man, just not
going out chasing that zip and is unable to keep up. 2 down in the corner for Mouse Swarm, as Makwa then decides to take the cross and try to cut out the edit on the sniper position, and we're able to break basket again.
Yeah, yet another substantial push coming out from the side of the SpongeBob movie. They are already underneath 50, down to 42. Mouse Swarm doing a good job at, you know, finishing out the push. They were able to get 1 down, and another one just was able to jump out. But, you know, it's really difficult when you're playing as a team like the SpongeBob movie, because you know already at this point everyone is respawned, and their paint-heavy, defense-strong weapons are sitting back at you, and you're really not going to be able to push without a pick. And Otter goes in here trying to find said pick, getting behind them, maybe not able to get a pick quite yet, but at least putting some chaos in as the hammer comes out. 2 balls, I believe, and 3 down. No, on the side of Mouse Swarm, just not able to convert their advantage.
Unfortunate. I think I know where the reasoning came to bring that zap out. With that cooler, once they went down after their push ended so fast, they were able to regroup, respawn, and be able to hold the line really for when Mouse Swarm then was able to push up to their ramp already as they were respawning. So I think this is a good comp, a good way to keep control when you know that between the flanks and the rush downs, this team, their opponent wants to move fast. So they're trying to answer that with speed of their own. Yeah, for sure. And, you know, another aspect of this strategy is just holding on to clams. At one point, they had 23 to Mouse Swarm's 1 clam, and it's really sort of up to the frontliners. Players moving forward here, it looks like they're going to try to play a really forward aggressive. I'm not entirely sure if the clams are quite an order player, able to get a really good pick there. But ultimately, their team is just not quite positioned yet. They don't have players in the right positions to be able to make this push. Yeah, you saw right there with player being able to splat dash their way in, and player using that clam as a bit of a decoy to camp it with their hammer throw. Oh man, I think we see the idea, right? They are able to get 2 down, but they have a power clam ready. They're able to get a 3rd one down, but they don't have a lot of clam economy here, Riley. You see only 1 clam is available, and there are also 2 players down as well. They really needed more clams on that push if they wanted to take the lead in one go, and it looks like the SpongeBob movie is just going to be able to stop it right there. Yeah, very interested to see now. 30 seconds left. We've got to regroup if we want to keep our game, our head in this game. As we're seeing now a collapse, able to get a trade on player, and Otter's now moving in, hoping to find a pick, and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, you know, it just is so difficult to play against a team that has so much paint and so much defense when you are in the hole, right? Because at this point, they're holding on to 14 clams. They don't need to score again, and there are 5 seconds left, right? Like, they have a couple of clams at their disposal. They have the pity, but they need to get positions, right? They cannot score that pity unless they send at least one player into their spawn, and they have to pick it up here. It's got to be either the Sploosh or the Brush that has a jump here. I don't know where the Sploosh is, but we do see one pick coming down. Unfortunately, the ball goes down. They need to score right now. Again, Sploosh is coming in. I don't know if the jump is going to be able to come in time, and it's not.
Oh, wow. Hearing some cheers from the SpongeBob team, and we see that they're able to come out on top. Their control of paint is really just a key factor, I feel, in this set.
Absolutely so. And, you know, I think both teams, when you're at a game 5, you kind of know what's on the table, right?
Yes.
Like, I think at that point, Mouse Swarm knew that they needed to play off of picks if they wanted to be able to score, and SpongeBob knew that they would just have to prevent those picks from coming and prevent the frontliners from getting into their spawn to begin with, right? And I feel like both teams just had to execute on both of their plans. And I think the win con from the side of Mouse Swarm was the combination of the hammer, you know, any of the hammers, and the Zipcaster together, right? Like, I think they wanted those two to come in and either just push back SpongeBob enough or get enough picks where they could kind of get them back in their spawn, right?
100.
And we saw that happen once, but they just didn't have quite enough picks and just not enough clam economy to keep it going, right?
Yeah, 100%. I keep saying that. And their specials are interesting, as they can still be, they're really aggressive, but they're very vulnerable, and they last a while.
Yeah.
So if you're in Hammer trying to run someone down, or if you're in Zipcaster trying to get behind them and get a pick, you're out of the front line for a little bit while you're off performing. And you need to get those picks to get that value. Otherwise, the rest of your team is unfortunately fighting that 3v4.
Yeah, and at that point, what exactly do you do? Well, folks, that was a fantastic Game 5, but we're not done. We're headed to break briefly. We'll be back soon with Round 2. There's a lot more SeaBATTLE to be had. Stay with us.